Have you met this guy? Of course you have, he's everywhere. As someone who is originally from Melbourne, Australia, I have to apologise on behalf of my city for unleashing this guy onto the world. We were the ground zero for this global pandemic that's spread around everywhere. The pedo stash, the mullet, sides often shaved, sometimes a beanie, often a bunch of shitty tattoos, some shirt with a band no one gives a shit about, nails painted black, and now it's everywhere. USA, Europe, New Zealand. Of course there were precursors. It's desperately trying to ape an 80s style, but the people back then were unapologetically living it. They didn't think it was cringe, they weren't living ironically through some desire to seem like some tough guy, or a dirtbag, the scumbag, the filthy, dirty, nasty, but super chill guy. What do you call him? I just think like Chill Dave. Sees another 40k follower Twitter account with a name like Epic Handjob. Fat, Reddit mustache, epic mullet, Carhartt, cigarette, ironic music taste, Fantano garbage. Other styles appear which carry aspects of this overall look, but I really think all of the disparate aspects really did come to converge in Australia, where this specific guy emerged properly. From there he metastasized and spread throughout the world. This isn't just a look either, it's a whole persona, and once you notice all the things they have in common, it's hard to unnotice. You can't go back. Fashion has always been about fitting in, to appear as though you embody some character. What are they trying to embody? It looks like they're trying to recreate this look from the 80s. What was the mullet associated with back then? What kind of characteristics? Rock music? Country music? Billy Ray Cyrus was known for it. A lot of people rocked it in the 80s. The song Mullet Head by the Beastie Boys refers to a guy who doesn't give a shit. He speeds in his car, he's licentious. It references Joey Buttafuoco, a guy who famously groomed a 17-year-old girl. It's dirty, it's sleazy, but also, he doesn't give a fuck. He is chill and up for anything. He'll do drugs and alcohol freely. A real 80s cokehead. Sleazy's perhaps the best word for this. This is who the mullet came to be associated with. Fun fact, in a YouTube video when you say the word subscribe, the button glows. Karl Marx said, "History repeats itself. First as tragedy, second as farce." This is in reference to Napoleon III and his rather reserved, unremarkable leadership as opposed to his ruthless forebear. Now just as neo-pagans LARP as being Odin's Viking warriors, and every great empire in European history LARPed as Great Rome Reborn, Chill Dave, the cool scumbag rad dirtbag guy dude, LARPs as the sleazy 80s cokehead, trying to revivify this archetype. The appeal is that you don't give a fuck. The mullet, the whole style, looking slightly unkempt, it's meant to convey that you care not for any norms, because to the people of the 70s and 80s, the mullet conveyed that you would willingly look ugly with no regard. You would choose to put something so garish, so ugly on the top of your head. It's a rejection of social norms in the most outwardly aggressive way a haircut could be. It was occasionally combined with other broadly disliked styles like the rat tail or dreadlocks, in an effort to look as filthy as possible. That's what it conveyed more than anything. That you care so little, and can still succeed in spite of it. You can still get rich by selling coke, and you can still pull women who are underage. Now, with the super chill millennial, the irony dirtbag, he tried to recreate this look in, I believe, some attempt to recapture that very same attitude. The issue, however, is that he cares. He cares way too much. It's obviously a facade, a carefully preened appearance, putting in so much effort to look like you put in no effort. Classic millennial staple. The painted nails give it away. What do we call it? Try hard? Why would you even try so hard to look like shit? This is where the irony comes in. Come on now, guys, I wasn't being sincere. And this is ironic fashion. So you live this every day and present yourself to the world in this way. In every social encounter you go into, you present this veneer of insincere aloofness, a fundamental contradiction. You want to appear as if you let go while still caring. You want to appear like a decent human being while still appearing like a scumbag. That is another character trait that generally appears broadly in the type of person who adopts this style. And I say broadly, some people just adopt a fashion because they see others do it. That's very common. This does not apply to everyone who wears this look. That being said, certain personalities do gravitate towards certain styles, like this safe sleazy kind of thing. First we had safe edgy, then safe horny, and now safe sleazy to finish the trifecta. Reviving this whole mullet look reminds me of the previous wave of performative masculinity. The manly soy beard, the hot sauce, epic bacon, IPAs, whiskey, and a barber? This is a newer, more updated flavour of that old garbage. It's way worse though. They might talk about things like empathy, tying well into the decent human being thing I mentioned. I've noticed an oddly judgmental, holier-than-thou type who tends to present themselves in this way, who talks oddly a lot about decency through the lens where they are, of course, very virtuous. It very regularly takes the form of moral condemnation more than anything, and in fairly manipulative ways, like being associated with or being seen with the wrong people, or people acting problematic in the presence of another, and then the behavior of one being used to condemn the other who wasn't even involved, kind of enforcing a group purity. You obviously see this on the internet, but it's not uncommon for some people to take this behavior into real life. They mask what might otherwise seem like obvious social games that are intended to suit them, boost their status in the hierarchy, to be seen as a good person by virtue of what you say, what you believe, and who you associate with, rather than by what you do. In fact, separating morality from action specifically emboldens this malicious archetype. And I would say this archetype is strongly associated with manipulation. For example, this guy on Instagram, known as Max4Cracks. A good chunk of his humour is literally just about how he manipulates women. Now, I don't want to make this about policing humour. It doesn't matter whether I find it funny, and I'm not saying certain types of jokes shouldn't be allowed, certainly not. But there is enough of a pattern. There are so many of the same jokes, and they certainly all fit the exact same personality type. In fact, it fits this archetype to a T. He could of course be playing a character, but he is playing it very, very well. Oftentimes when people are this good at playing a character, it's more so that they're exaggerating their own personality. He simply knows too much. He has knowledge of the complete lexicon of manipulation and deception. As Norm Macdonald said,
if you do an impression of someone, you have to like that person, because you're playing the person and people like themselves.
Like, it's one thing, learning the game, so to speak, but seriously, what business does a dude have talking about a girl's ovulation? I think guys who know too much about things like astrology and period cycles are highly suspect. Like, it's one thing, listening to your girlfriend, supporting her when she has health concerns, which you do not share. It's another one entirely keeping obsessive track of mood-altering phenomena, like their cycle, and knowing exactly what to say in response. Let me put it this way, if a guy knows exactly what to say to a woman and when, it's rehearsed. They are lines. He is an actor presenting her with a character. Now, I have a 4% female viewership, but I do want to pose a question to any women watching. Hypothetically, you or a friend of yours was entering into a relationship with this kind of guy. What is the thought process happening in you or your hypothetical friend's mind? Does one think this relationship is going to be highly fruitful and successful? Or are you perhaps seeking something toxic, subconsciously, or even consciously? Is it not a bit suspect when a man has these perfectly rehearsed lines, as in these videos where they're literally prepared earlier? Perhaps the modern dating scene specifically amplifies and rewards this manipulator archetype, and that is why you see women so regularly complaining about it. Naturally, accompanying the manipulator archetype is, of course, male feminism. Yeah, it's kind of unsurprising how many of these dudes are male feminists. It's a natural extension of their decent human being-ism. A way to denigrate other men while presenting themselves as one of the good ones. Yeah babe, I'm not toxically masculine. I've got painted nails. I'm way worse. He promotes polyamory because he wants to break traditional relationship expectations and monogamy normativity, when in reality he wants to talk his girlfriend into letting him sleep with other women. Funny thing is, I think there's no mental conflict between the aforementioned manipulating women and the whole feminism thing going on. One clearly serves the other. Harvey Weinstein had no problem doing what he did while supporting feminist causes. Perhaps the whole feminism thing is a cloak donned out of guilt. Perhaps it's why they believe so strongly in the toxicity of masculinity, for they see it in themselves. So yeah, I think this look has already lived out its lifespan. Try something new. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. I would like to thank my patrons, Reverent Ranger, Mixtab, Will Maddie, Lazy the Crazy, Glorious Bees, Maritime Steak 85, Delirious Fool, and Top Cake Red.